Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt, and we're going to talk about a budget-friendly rig today, or a flight simulator. So this is for you guys that are CFIs mostly. I think that you guys have an opportunity to work with your students on days that are, where it's raining or maintenance issues, whatever reason you can't go up. All right, I've been around aviation long enough to know that you're not going to be able to be out flying all the time. So on those days, maybe you're going to do ground training, you're going to do some table talk, you're going to be hanging out at the airport or wherever, right? You think maybe it's a good idea to have a flight simulator that you can use and maybe just kind of walk through a instrument approach, or maybe talk about how to use some of the materials, some of the things that you're using on the flight sim rig. You think maybe that'd be a good idea and a good way to actually maybe even make some more money, maybe make the best use of your on-the-ground time that you can. So let's build a flight sim. That's what we're going to do today. So let's go over to Real Sim Gear. That's the first place I'm going to go. And we're going to go to the products area and the the flight sim avionics. So the number one biggest thing that I had trouble with when I went back into flying after my Army career, going back to flying smaller aircraft, was that all the avionics was different. We used to have six-packs across the board back when I was flying in the early 2000s. And now you can't get in a cockpit that isn't all glass, or at least has a 530 or 430. Now they got 750. I've never actually seen a 750. Actually, I take that back. I think I might have seen a 750 in Flight Shop's RV14. So that was a lie. You're going to see all these different avionics. All of this is like all glass stuff. It's not just six packs anymore. So, but the thing is, all of this stuff does really important things. It runs your navigation, it runs your maps, it runs your radios, your VOR frequencies. Now you can do approaches you don't even need a VOR receiver to do approaches. You can do it all right with the 530. You just plug the approach right into these things. So you need to know at a pretty high level and be able to just go right into these things and start using them the way that you know how to use them. So how do you do that? You start playing around with it. But in the cockpit, it's going to cost you or your student, if you're a CFI, it's going to cost a lot of money to sit there and spin knobs, and they're going to get frustrated and go, why did I just spend $200 over the last hour to sit here working with you? And then they're going to walk away. They're not even going to remember what they learned, because they're probably going to be busy out there flying, doing S-turns or steep turns or whatever weird thing that they're doing in the sky that day, when they probably, to be honest, should have been sitting there learning how to use the Garmin 530 or 430, or the G1000. We didn't even talk about G1000s and all the buttons and the MFDs. Every button does something different, and every time you touch another button, it changes into a whole other set of sub-buttons. Good Lord, right? There's so much that these things do. It takes time and energy to get used to all of those different things that they do. So what's the best way to do that and get used to it? It's this way, with a simulator. So you're going to be, you need to go home. You need to be, if you're a CFI, you need to be practicing that stuff with your students and just charging a smaller amount in the simulator for it. And if you're not a CFI, if you're the student, have a little flight sim. You could have a small flight simulator with nothing but a Garmin 530 in it, okay? Another one that I saw earlier today that you guys might like is Altimeter Motives. Actually creates, if you're flying a Cessna 172 or something like that, you can come in here and pick up something like the last aircraft that I flew was dual G5 flat screen with and it looked almost exactly like this with the two G5s in there. And this thing would be perfect. Like, if I'd have known before I started building this that I could have built this, I probably would have looked into building something similar to this, because this is spot on to what I was flying. It has the same stuff in the six pack with the attitude indicator and the G5 for the heading and the HSI. This is perfect. And you can get secondary. You can get the it's all hooked up to the Arduinos and the dual encoders across the board. It's got the knobs, the knob encoders, the dials, so that you can use it just like you would a regular instrument gauge inside of your normal aircraft. So I think that that's pretty freaking cool. So let's go to their current product lineup. You can actually get a right side, they call it a companion right side panel, which is actually cool. You can get it without the G5s too if you want. But I figure with that, why not learn how to use it? But the right side panel, you can have customized with a 530 and a 430. You can get an audio panel like that plugged into it. And you can get it looks like they've got the prop wash transponder in there. That's the same setup that I have. So you can get something like this, and you can get it customized for the items that you want to put into it, and then you can have a full-on setup, and it won't cost you looking at maybe $500, and then real sim gear if you get a 530, you're looking at $399. You could also go over and get the budget bundles over here. And you could just, instead of getting the entire right side rig, you could just get one of these for $7. You can get the 530 430s, and that's $749. So if you go with the $749 plus the 500, you're looking around what, $1,400. So, and then whatever flight controls you can get flight controls for a little bit of nothing. $150 for a pair of for some pedals, and maybe another $150 for a yoke, LG yoke, and the TPM units for the push-pull throttle, right? So for literally less than 15, maybe, okay, we'll say the whole thing less than $2,000. You could put together a very decent system that you could easily go out there and use with your students. Or if you're not a CFI and you are the student, then you could put something like this together. $2,000 is a small chunk of change. That's just a few flights. I blew over $1,000 before I realized I needed to start building a flight sim so that I could learn all this stuff back at the house. So you don't need a lot of stuff. You just need the stuff that you need to learn in your cockpit so you can go take the check ride and continue making your, continue progressing your training. And as the CFI, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more in another video. So I'm not going to spoil everything here, but the bottom line is that this can also be a profit center for you. As a marketing guy, the marketing guy in me wants to grab hold of you and almost shake you and go, dude, if you're not using a flight sim for yourself and making a little bit of extra money, if you're like, well, it's not approved or I don't have the ability to do that. Yes, you do. You don't need it to be approved. There's little workarounds and ways that you can do that. So I want you guys to be profitable. I want to be profitable. I want everybody that's watching this to have knowledge that they need to get out there and fly and do what they're doing with this flight sim. So you need to know what you're doing. You need to be proficient, and you need to be quick, safe, and need to do everything with precision control. So this is the best way to do it. I'd love to talk to you more. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch up with you guys in another video. Take care.